So maybe you've tried MyFitnessPal, Weight Watchers, or Noom, or any of those calorie counting apps. And you're thinking, I know I need to be mindful of what I eat to lose weight, but I am so tired of tracking every single thing. I'm tired of apps telling me I'm out of food when I'm still hungry. I'm tired of not trusting myself. My friend, if that's you, I am so glad you are here because today I'm sharing exactly how I lost 50 pounds without tracking a single thing and how you can do it too. Welcome to the Biking Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Stacy Smith, and I lost 50 pounds riding my bike by focusing on what my body can do. Now, I teach other women how to do the same. I am obsessed with completely flipping the script on weight loss so that we can work out to feel good and feel strong. If you are ready to stop dieting, learn how to appreciate your body, and have fun riding your bike, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, my wonderful friend. Welcome back to the podcast. And if you're just joining us for the very first time, I want to send an extra special warm welcome to you as well. I do not take for granted that you are here and that you are listening. I am so happy that you are here, and I am so happy and honored to be here with you. So today we're talking about how to lose weight without tracking food. And I know so many of you have asked me about this because you are just done with Weight Watchers, with MyFitnessPal, done with apps telling you what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat. And here's the thing. I get it. I tried Weight Watchers too, and I just couldn't do it. There were never enough points in the day for me. Or I would find myself eating more because I had points left over and I wasn't even hungry. Or I would agonize over whether or not to eat my active points or eat my active calories in MyFitnessPal. These sorts of tracking apps at times would work for me for a while, but then I'd end up gaining everything back because I just couldn't sustain it long term. And lately, I have seen so many influencers and coaches and experts and people on social media just giving this advice saying that you need to be in a calorie deficit and you need to track your macros and calories or you'll never successfully lose weight. But here's the thing, I did lose weight. I lost 50 pounds in 2020 and I kept it off. And that was, 6 years ago. I am now in full-blown perimenopause and I did not gain this weight back. So I just want to talk about this because I didn't track a single thing then, and nor do I track anything now. And this doesn't mean that I'm not mindful of nutrients like protein and carbs, all of that. Like I just had the most amazing Parker House roll with my soup today because I know that I'm going to be doing a strength training workout and a bike ride today, and I want to be fueled for that. So I'm still mindful of nutrients. I'm just not plugging it all into an app. I eat them when I need them or when I want a special treat, and then when I want a special treat, I eat them in quantities that feel good in my body and get me the results that I want without feeling like I have to micromanage my life in an app. So here's why I stopped tracking, and that's what we're talking about today. And really quickly, before we dive in, if you're listening in real time, I do have a couple of one-on-one coaching slots available. If you want personalized support, creating a plan that actually fits your body, your life, your lifestyle, email me at stacy@sassy.com. That's STACY at SASCY.com. Or DM me on Instagram at Sassy Cycling. That's at SASCY Cycling with the word interested, and I can tell you more about it, and I'll chat with you more about it at the end of the episode too. Okay, so let's go. So here's the problem with tracking and with tracking apps, because this is a process that completely disconnects you from your body. The reality is that we know we need to be mindful of food choices and quantities if we want to lose weight. So we are looking for this sensible diet that has us tracking our food, putting it into an app, counting points, whatever. And then when you've hit your max for the day, you stop eating. And what we're tempted to do when we want to lose weight is to not trust ourselves and our bodies at all. We want someone else to tell us how much to eat. when to eat, how much to work out, when to work out, what kinds of workouts to do. But here's what happens. This is disconnecting us from our bodies. It keeps us from following our hunger cues. It keeps us from eating when we're actually hungry. It keeps us from stopping when we've had enough, and it keeps us from eating the things that we want to eat. It teaches us to restrict. It keeps us stuck in this idea that there are good foods and bad foods, and we can only eat the good ones and the healthy ones, and if we eat the bad ones, we should, well, of course, feel bad about it. And this isn't totally and completely no fun, because we think we need to clear our houses of all the things we like because we couldn't possibly control ourselves around them because those foods aren't on the plan or they take up too much of our precious calories in our app. And here's what I want you to know. Many of us have been dieting for decades. We already have a pretty good sense of what Weight Watchers or Noom or MyFitnessPal or whoever or whatever is going to tell us to eat. We know what to do. We just can't get ourselves to do it long term because it sucks. It sucks to put everything into an app. It takes a long time. We are busy. We think that all of these diets and apps work because we can follow them for a short period of time, and we do see some results. But the reality is that we can't do it forever because it's not sustainable. It doesn't take into account our real life and our real life decisions that we have to make. It doesn't teach us what to do when we've had a bad day and we go to the pantry and we shovel everything into our face. It encourages us to eat less than what our bodies need in certain circumstances because we think that lower calories or lower numbers of points is quote unquote good. And this makes us so much more likely to end up saying screw it and eating our faces off over the weekend because we are just so tired of everything and everyone needing us all of the time and being so good during the week. We aren't thinking about what feels good in our bodies. We are getting completely disconnected. So this is why apps, tracking, generally doesn't work for us. It's not your fault. It's not your problem. The problem is with the app. It is with the diet. It is not with you. It's just not sustainable. So let's now talk about, now that we know what the problem is, let's now talk about what we are going to do instead. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to plan our meals instead of tracking them. And I know that sounds really similar, but it's not. And let me explain to you the big difference. We stop tracking because the problem with tracking is that it doesn't really encourage us to plan. It encourages us to log all of our stuff in an app and then tell us when we're all out of food, when we're still hungry. And of course, on some level, you'll think, okay, well, I need to restrict so that I have more points throughout the day or, more calories throughout the day. But the reality is that it's just disconnecting us from eating when we're hungry and stopping when we've had enough. And what we need to do instead of an app and plugging everything in is just to have a really simple plan, like an everyday food plan. 5 minutes in the morning, I would like you to write down and plan out what you're going to eat throughout the day when you're using the part of your brain that is going to be making the best decisions. And I'm not talking about plugging it all into an app. I'm not talking about doing anything complicated. Just get a notebook or open a blank document in your notes app and write BLSDD on your paper. And that is for breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner, dessert. You can even make it simpler and just have the last D both be dinner and dessert. And then I want you to decide what you're going to eat for those meals. Keep it simple. We don't need to bring quantities into this equation. Just make it super duper simple. If you don't know what you're going to be having for dinner, that's fine. Sometimes all I put for dinner is salad and family dinner because I know that I'll have whatever my family's having for dinner and I will have a salad that fills up half my plate. And if you're going out and you don't know what the menu is going to be for dinner, just write dinner and dessert out. And instead of agonizing over what you're going to have, just make the focus on eating what you're hungry for and stopping when you're satisfied, when you've had enough, not when you need somebody to roll you out of the restaurant, but when you feel like, okay, this is good. I feel like I could go for a walk now if I wanted to, but I am not going to need somebody to assist me or I'm going to need to unbutton my pants. The key here, and what makes this so much more doable, is that you are planning your meals before your day gets crazy, before you have no idea what you're going to have for dinner and you're tired and stressed and you default to the drive-thru and your usual, I deserve this meal because you are just so darn done with the day. You are making choices really at that point from the toddler part of your brain, from the part of your brain that says, I deserve this. But if in your brain you already have a plan, then you don't really need to listen to that voice. You can say like, okay, I know you want to just go through the drive-thru, but you have dinner planned out at home already. And it actually takes more effort to go through the drive-thru than just go home and eat the dinner that you planned. When we plan in advance, we're making decisions from the part of our brain that makes the best decisions for us, not the default habit brain, the toddler brain that's just wired to do what we've always done to keep us alive. And yes, the drive-thru has kept us alive many a time. And just let me be really clear, there's no shame in the drive-thru. If you want drive-thru food, if you want to go to the McDonald's, that is my favorite fast food place, and I am not ashamed of it, you do that, but plan for it in advance. Plan for it in the morning. Say, you know what? I'm going to go through the McDonald's drive-thru and this is what I'm going to get for dinner because I know this is what makes the most sense for me today. The idea is not to never go through the drive-thru. The idea is to be intentional about it so that you aren't doing this from a place of, I'm a toddler and I deserve this every single day. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you need to start eliminating decision fatigue by making things simpler and easier. And the way that I do this, and it may or may not be your thing, but just consider it, is I actually have the same breakfast and lunch every single day. So some ways to make planning really easy is to have the same thing for lunch and breakfast every day, even if you only do it for a week. You can always change it up week to week, but this is what I do, and it totally eliminates decision fatigue. One of the things that my clients tell me all of the time is that they don't want to have to always be thinking about food, restricting food, planning food, figuring out what to eat. And this helps with that so much. And if you can't do it, and if you like variety, like I said, I totally understand. You know, I get my variety from a different dinner every day, but that might not be enough for you. That's fine. You can do it every day for a week and switch it up the following week, or just have a list of 3 super simple ideas that you can default to for breakfast and lunch anytime that you are having a hard time choosing. So you don't need to do this huge meal prep thing on Sunday if you keep these things really simple. So like, for example, I always have soup for lunch at work. And if I have time to make a big pot of soup over the weekend, I will. And I will get these little 2-cup Pyrex bowls and I will split it up so that I don't even have to worry about ladling it in the morning. All I have to do is grab a bowl and I will have 2 weeks worth of lunch from one pot of soup. I can freeze half of it. But here's the thing. I don't always have the time, energy, or inclination to make a pot of soup over the weekend. And when that happens, I just go to the supermarket and I buy their prepared soup. I usually default to Italian wedding. It's delicious. It does what it needs to do. And I am getting the fuel that my body needs without decision fatigue, without making it a big deal that I don't have time to cook myself lunch this week. In terms of my breakfast, I always have some kind of wrap with chicken and a green vegetable like string beans because it's really easy for me to eat that in the car. I have to be out the door basically 20 minutes from when I get out of bed, and I don't have a lot of time to think about what am I going to be having for breakfast or to prepare the breakfast. So I make the wrap really simple, just throw everything in it, throw it in the microwave, wrap it up, put it in foil, I'm done. So that is number 2, is to try to eliminate decision fatigue as much as possible by keeping things really, really simple. Okay, so moving on to number 3. This one is huge. You need to fuel your workouts properly. I really feel like most apps do not think about this. They think about people who want to lose weight, but aren't concerned with being active or aren't particularly active. They make the activity such a back burner item that you don't know what the heck to do in order to fuel for your workouts and your rides. If you are an active person, and chances are if you are listening to this podcast, you either are active or you want to be, and you're riding your bike, you're walking, you're hiking, you're strength training, whatever it is you're doing, you need to make sure that you are fueling properly for your workouts because big activity days are not the days to restrict. If you have a really long bike ride planned, if you have a long hike, if you have a big run, you should have a solid carb and protein combo about an hour before the activity. Like a peanut butter and banana sandwich. I don't do that. I generally just do peanut butter because peanut butter and banana weirds me out. But I know a lot of you love the peanut butter banana combo. So if that's your thing, by all means, go for it. As I mentioned earlier with my soup today, I had protein in the soup, and then I had this delicious dinner roll with butter, and it was great. So you want to make sure that you have that carb and protein combo, ideally about an hour before your movement. But you might not need like a huge amount. So this is all about testing and finding out. If your workout isn't going to be super long and super difficult, you probably aren't going to need as much carb fuel as you would if it is. So you have to kind of be a little bit flexible. But again, do not make this a big deal. It doesn't have to be. If you are like, yeah, I probably could get away with a little bit less next time, the next time just try eating a little bit less and see if you still feel good. See if you're still able to do the workout. You also want to make sure that you have protein within a half hour or so of a hard effort to aid in your recovery. A lot of times when we're trying to lose weight, we are tempted to skimp on either fueling for the activity we're going to do or on the recovery protein after. But this is not the place or the time to be thinking about reducing calories. One of the tricky things with weight loss for active women can be balancing the fuel and recovery with the weight loss attempt and realizing that big activity days are not necessarily the time to restrict. Our bodies just need more on those days, and sometimes the day after too. I know that I am so hungry the day after a ride, and the day of the ride, a lot of times I'm kind of feeling like I'm forcing myself to either fuel for it or to recover because I tend to be a little bit more focused on the activity and excited about the activity, and the food just isn't as much of a thing. But then the next day I'm like, oh my God, give me all the things. And here's the thing about all of these apps is that they tend to only allow you those extra calories the day of the activity, which makes no sense if that isn't when you have a tendency to eat more. And then they expect that the next day you're going to wake up with zero impact from the day before when you are ravenous and when your body is screaming like, hey, I need fuel. And that's just not how this works. And you shouldn't be denying or restricting when your body is telling you that you are actually legitimately very hungry. As I mentioned, I'm always way more hungry the day after. And a lot of the times that's supposedly a rest day. And then I'm telling myself it's a rest day. I can't eat as much and I don't need as much fuel on a rest day when the reality is I still need to eat to recover from the previous day. So be sure to fuel for your workouts. Don't restrict on active days or the day after if your body is begging you for food. Okay, so number 4 is all about following your hunger cues, eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're satisfied. This is one of the most important and fundamental pieces of weight loss because we have a tendency, those of us who are overweight, to eat when we're not hungry, to eat because we're stressed, to eat because we're emotional, to eat because we're celebrating something, because we like to eat, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if we're always eating when we're not hungry, and if we're eating beyond the point of satisfied, we are overfueling our bodies, and we are setting ourselves up for some weight gain. So following your actual hunger cues is so important. Now, again, I know that some of us are shift workers. I'm a teacher. I know many of you are nurses, so I can't always wait for hunger. Sometimes I have to eat when I'm not particularly hungry yet. But I've learned what kinds of foods and in what quantities those foods feel good in my body at what times of day so that I can get through my day, so that I can be fueled for my day. And as active women, sometimes we also need to fuel for our big rides or workouts when we aren't particularly hungry too. So this is all about taking that into account as well. But it's important to do this because it can prevent us from not having enough energy to actually do our ride or our workout, and it can keep our body and our brain from going into panic mode later that day or the next day and make us eat way more than what we actually need. So for those of us who are super active, riding our bikes, walking, hiking, basically we are endurance athletes, even if you don't necessarily feel like an athlete. Honey, you are. You may find that you are not hungry when you think you should be, and you are ravenous when you think you shouldn't be. And it took me forever to figure this out, that I am normally not hungry after a long ride, even though I think I should be. But later that day, if the ride was in the morning, or the next day, if the ride was in the evening, I am ravenous. And this is normal and okay. Our bodies need to replenish after we've expended a lot of energy. And when we realize this, we are so much less likely to beat ourselves up. And I'm going to be really, really honest. When I started eating slower, pausing more, asking myself if I was still hungry or if I had had enough food, I started eating overall a lot less. I realized just how disconnected I had become because I was constantly giving all that power over what I should and or should not be eating to an app or to somebody else. This caused me to eat on autopilot. And when I stopped doing that and stopped eating what some apps just told me to eat and actually listened to my body, I started not only eating what my body actually needed, but I stopped feeling guilty for eating more when my body actually needed more. Okay? And I want that for you. I don't want you to feel bad about the fact that you're hungry. That just means that your body is asking for food. Okay, number 5, test and find out what works for your body. Test and find out what works for you. This is so important. You basically are experimenting. You're trying different things. The whole idea behind why diets don't work and why tracking doesn't work is that it's not really having us focus on what feels good in our bodies and what is fueling us. It's just telling us what to do, like we're some kind of robot that is going through the motions of eating and moving the way that this app tells us to so that we lose weight. We need to get into the habit of experimenting and testing and finding out what works for us, for our individual hunger cues, for our own bodies. So for example, I've learned that a sweet breakfast really doesn't work well for me in terms of keeping my energy levels up and stable throughout the morning, keeping me satisfied until lunch. If I try to have overnight oats or something and fruit, for example, for breakfast, I'm going to crash mid-morning, or I'm going to want to eat all of the things. I'm going to be super, super hungry before I can actually sit down to have lunch at work. But a simple savory wrap of chicken, vegetable, and a little bit of carb keeps me going all morning long. Everyone is different. Experiment with your foods. See what works for you. Pay attention to how it feels in your body, to whether or not you are still hungry when you feel like you shouldn't be. And if there's really a reason for that, again, we're testing and finding out what works for us. And when you do that, then you start to trust what your body is telling you, and you start to get the results that you want. Okay, my friend, here's what I want you to take away from this episode. You don't need an app to tell you what to eat. You don't need to track every single thing. You just need a simple plan. 5 minutes in the morning, plan your meals. Keep breakfast and lunch the same if you can, or have 3 good solid choices that you can easily pull from. Fuel your workouts properly. Eat when you're hungry and stop when you're satisfied. And finally, test and find out what works for you and your body. You know what to do. You just need a system to do it that is actually sustainable. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, Stacey, I need help creating my own simple plan. I need somebody to help me figure out what works best for my body without tracking things in an app. I 100% hear you. I understand. And if you're listening in real time, I do have a couple of one-on-one coaching spots still open. And here's why this works when apps don't. It's completely customized to you and your life. It's personalized support. You get to work with someone who understands weight loss, but also knows that the plan has to be catered to you, to your body, your life, your schedule, the things that you like to do, the things that you like to eat. If this sounds like what you need, just email me at stacy@sassy.com, stacy@sascy.com, or DM me on Instagram at Sassy Cycling, that's SASCY Cycling, with the word interested, and we can chat about what would potentially work best for you. You don't need to track your food. You don't need an app to be in a calorie deficit. You just need a plan that is reasonable and that works for you. I would love for you to pick one thing, just one thing from today's episode that you know that you can try this week. And I want you to email me, Stacy, STACY, @sassy, SASCY.com, and tell me what you're going to do. I read every single email myself and respond myself, and I can't wait to chat with you about what your plan is for this week. You've got this, and I'm here, and I am cheering for you every single step of the way. Talk soon. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Biking Wellness Podcast. Be sure to head on over to sassy.com/guide, sasscy.com/guide, to get my completely free lose weight biking quick start guide so that you can get started with simple, doable weight loss today. That's sasscy.com/guide.